Okay, this class is on how to add the attendance module, and I'm going to hijack Mr. Cheney's first semester PE class because it's a good example that I can use to put attendance in here as a way to track participation in the class, and it may be something that he might think of doing eventually in this particular class, since I know he uses kind of a participation and an effort grade, which would be a great way to do it. So I'm going to turn editing on. And I'm going to go to the bottom of the first section here, and I'm going to go and add attendance and say add. And then it's not really attendance. I'm going to say effort grade or daily effort. How about that? As what will show up in the grade book and as a link on the thing. Now as I go down to grade, this is where I can say it's 100 points, or I can say it's not worth anything. I'm going to leave it at 100 points, and I'm going to put it in his first category, which he doesn't have a category in here, so if I did, I would grab a category in there. And then I'm going to hit save and display to load it, because the next thing I have to do is I have to add sessions that I'm going to be grading in the class. So if I was to add a session, so I click add session, I have to pick a group, and he's got one group called NT20. I could go to a particular group and say it's just for that group, so you can see I can do it for all students or for a group of students. So basically what I can do is I can add sessions for this group, or if it's a big class, I could do all of them. And then I go down and say, how am I going to add these sessions? And I'm going to say it's multiple sessions. Now, if this was a middle school class, I would just say repeated these sessions on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, because they meet every day. If it's a high school class that's on the block schedule and we meet every other day, what I generally do is I just say put them in Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then if it's a Tuesday, it'll go in Monday, and if it's a Thursday, it'll go in Wednesday category for those classes that meet on alternating blocks. It kind of makes itself make sense. And then I can say repeat it until, and we can click here and say, hey, I want to repeat these till the end of the school year on those days. The next thing you see down there is whether students are allowed to record their own attendance. I'm going to uncheck that. However, if I was using it for real attendance, I could make it so kids could log themselves in when they come to class as one of their opening class activities. That's only going to work if the students have their devices every day, so it's going to work definitely in the high school, but in the middle school it may not work if you don't get out the devices every single class period of every day. So I'm going to go ahead and hit add there, and now it added all these attendance sections till the end of the year. And when I look at them, I usually look at them by week, so I can see what sessions are going to be added. So those are the sessions, and obviously you can do it by months. You can look at the past sessions, which there are none since we just added it. But I leave it in the week category, so whenever I open up, I can see this week's. The next thing I want to look at is how these sessions are actually graded. So when I want to look at how the sessions are graded, that's the status set. So by default, if it's a graded thing, this is how it does it. It says present is worth 2 points, late is only worth 1, excused is worth 1, and absent is worth 0 points. These are totally configurable by me. So if I was, say, Mr. Cheney, and I want to say X stands for extra effort, and I want to make that worth 5 points, and you can see I can put any letters I want to, so I could put in a 5, 4, 3, and maybe a 2. Maybe I don't go any lower than that, and I say realizing these are points. So 4, that's, I just gave the student a B if I'm saying that's normal. And then maybe I give them only 2 points for absence, or Z for 0 effort. I don't know. I'm just throwing some things out there. And I can go and say, hey, if I don't mark it, always give them 5 points. So basically I have to mark them down if I don't want them to get 5 points, which basically means that if my students come into class and they all do their job, it automatically gave them all 5 points. And I have to go in and reduce the points if I want to do something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and update. And so now this is what the point status is for my kids. And then I'm going to go back to the sessions again. So if I were to grade the Wednesday session and I hit the little button there, you can see what the statuses are. It shows, it should have showed the points down at the bottom. Automatically set when not marked. Oh, I think it's got to be when I actually do it. So if this session passes, and in fact I'll show you, okay, so if enabled in the session, set the status if the student has not marked their own attendance. So if the session passes and nothing's done, it's going to give that student a 5. So now when I come into class, if they go in here, I can click it and say everyone's got that, and then maybe this one student didn't do very good, so I'm going to lower Noah Phillips' grade that day, and I'm going to then hit save attendance. So, oops, I got more kids on the second page because this is a really big class. There we go. So I've done the attendance, and then if I wanted to, on that day, I could click on the little gear there and say what we did that day. So I'm going to replace regular class session with football practice. I don't know. I have no idea what he does in his class. So I will pretend that's something that he might do in his class. Oh, I should have showed you something else too. When we hit add sessions, this checkbox adds the event and the calendar every single time I add them. I always uncheck that because if I don't, then the students, and I'm going to show you what the calendar looks like for that class. Oops, I went a little too far back there. If I don't, then it adds, he doesn't have a calendar this course, so I'm going to go ahead and add the calendar over here. It adds that event all the time in the class, which might confuse them. I mean, you certainly could leave that so it shows up on their calendar. That's why all these upcoming events show up on here for you. So that's one of the things that it does. I'm going to come back down here to daily effort. The other thing I've got is this reporting feature that's I'm gonna be able to click on it and then go to summary, and it's basically going to show me how many times each of the students were there and what their overall grade is in that class. And you can see right now, because I did it for the whole year, they've got a 3% in the class because all those other sessions are ungraded. So the one thing about this is the grade is going to seem really low until you get to the end of the year. So that's one of the, I might put it into a non-graded category if I'm going to use it for a grade until the end of the year. Like I said, I don't use it this way. I use it just to track what students were at what lectures, and I can go and see particular sessions that they missed, and then go and see what exactly they missed in that particular class. So that is the attendance module in Moodle.